This tiny part is one of the most frustrating aspects of riding a fixed gear bike. So I went down a rabbit hole trying to fix it. The lockring. It's an absolutely essential component on a fixed gear bike, but it's one that's frustrated me for years. In today's video, I explore some alternative solutions that will make working on and riding your bike just a little bit more enjoyable. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. I have a series of videos coming out all about the fixed gear drivetrain, things like gear ratios, chain rings. Not to mention, I have a new film project. It's called Nowhere Fast, Somewhere Slow. I'm premiering it April 4th. I finally have set a date. I've been working on it for a few years now. I'm really excited about it. Please subscribe and thank you for all of the support. One thing that I really enjoy about riding fixed gears is the simple bike maintenance. No gears to mess with, no derailleurs, and for me, no brakes. It's fun to have a bike that is so simple, so timeless, so classic. Besides changing a tube or swapping out tires, changing your cog is one of the most common changes you'll have to make to a fixed gear. Especially as a beginner, it can be difficult to know if you're riding the right gear ratio or not. And chain rings are expensive, so it's natural that you might want to switch out your cog. But that can come with a lot of pain and suffering. The lockring threads on in the opposite direction of the cog in order to secure the fit and make sure that when you're riding a fixed gear drivetrain and you have forces in both directions, that the cog and lockring don't slip. Tightening your cog is relatively straightforward. You use a chain whip. A typical lockring has 2 teeth and you have a specialized lockring tool that you put in the teeth and have to torque the lockring off. Anytime I've tried to loosen or tighten my cog, I end up slipping because the interface is just not that secure. And if you do it enough times, you're gonna wear out your lockring and make it even harder for yourself. I've jammed my fingers into the spokes trying to get these off. There is a ton of torque that is required when removing your lockring. And for good reason, you want it to stay put. If you're a brakeless rider relying on your drivetrain for stopping power, it's absolutely essential that your lockring stays tight. Not only is riding a loose lockring or cog dangerous, you run the risk of stripping out the threads on your hub shell, which essentially, if ruined, renders your wheel useless. Don't make this expensive mistake. The traditional cog and lockring comes with its issues, and so I wanted to find an alternative solution that makes it easier to work on your bike, is more reliable, and has a tighter, more secure fit. I think the cleanest, most straightforward alternative is a direct mount cog. Unfortunately, there just aren't that many options available. I've previously recommended Level Components, but they no longer sell the hub online. Specialized used to make a bolt-on cog for their P-Fixed fixed gear freestyle bike. Sadly, it's no longer available. There are some options out there to adapt a hub that's made for disc brakes to a bolt-on cog. I personally have never tried one, so it's not something that I can recommend. There is one option that is still available out there. It is the Master Bike Co. 64 hub, but it is more geared towards fixed gear freestyle. While the direct mount cog is my favorite option, it's a bit out of the box and not super accessible. So I wanted to find some alternative solutions that work with the traditional fixed gear threaded hub using the standard cog and lockring. I was able to find a few different solutions, each coming with their own pros and cons, so stick around, I'm gonna break it all down. The first is upgrading to a bottom bracket style interface on your lockring. That's a mouthful, but the concept is really simple. It's a traditional lockring, but instead of those 2 little teeth that don't provide a great interface, you have a bottom bracket tool which has a much more exact fit. In my experience, it's so much easier to install and remove a lockring with one of these tools. It's just much less likely to slip and you're able to torque it down with a lot more precision. There are different styles of bottom brackets, so it can definitely be confusing in picking out the right tool. From what I've seen, most of the fixed gear lockrings use a 16-point style tool. I should also mention that there are a few hubs out there that use different thread standards like Philwood, Campagnolo. For most standard fixed gear threaded hubs, these style of lock rings will work. There are also different materials to choose from. Philwood makes an aluminum lock ring, where Sagino makes a steel lock ring. For me personally, I would go with a steel lock ring. This style of lock ring has been around for a while, but for some reason they're just not super popular, which is crazy to me because I think it's a great upgrade to make on your bike. Most of them are around $30, which isn't the cheapest lock ring, but it's not an expensive upgrade either. This style of lock ring is vastly superior. It provides 16 points of contact, and that's going to be a much more secure fit than the traditional 2 or 1 points that you get on a traditional lock ring. But bottom bracket tools are not designed to work on lock rings, and that causes some issues. The first tool I got is an aluminum bottom bracket tool, and it's okay, but it's relatively thin, so this thing does end up slipping off the lock ring when tightening down. So I tried another tool, this ratchet style cup, which has deeper teeth, which would help with the slipping, but if you have a male axle on your fixed gear, which most fixed gears are male axles, you won't actually be able to use a socket wrench. The axle will block the key where you need to stick the socket wrench. And then I tried another socket style that appeared to be a bit deeper, but it was actually too small of a diameter. And then I ordered this tool, which seemed like it was gonna work perfect. There's nothing blocking the axle. It works with a ton of different bottom brackets. Because the 16-point tool is not on the outside, when your lock ring is on the hub, the tool actually can't reach the lock ring. This is the only tool that I would recommend, and I'll link to it in the description. It's got a nice handle. You can get some leverage on there. You can take off your nut and be able to fit your axle through the socket hole. I also want to give an honorable mention to the Park Tool BBT9. This one is relatively similar to the first tool I showed you, but it's from Park Tool, which means you know its quality. One tip that is very helpful that I almost always forget when I'm working on my bike is that it's better to pull rather than to push. I forget this every single time. It just doesn't feel quite as natural, but you do have a little bit more control if you're pulling, and supposedly you can exert more force. On to my final recommendation, and this one embraces the traditional lock ring with 2 teeth. Instead, I'm going to be looking at tools, figuring out which is the best tool to make it easier to work on your cog and lock ring. For me, I'm definitely someone who has cheaped out on bike tools in the past and paid the price. I started out with this cheapo pedal wrench, lock ring tool, and chain whip all in one, and let me tell you, it's just horrible. For one, look how loose that lock ring tool is compared to this nice one from Park Tool. The difference between how round this lock ring tool is versus this one is huge. This one gets such a tighter hold. This one's from Park Tool. I'll link to it in the description. The only thing that I don't like about this tool is it's just bare metal and it's pretty thin, so exerting any sort of force can be kind of painful on your hands. This lock ring tool has been great, but I've got one that's even better. I decided to pick up the Pedros Vice Whip, and it is incredible. So I really like the Pedros Vice Whip for a few reasons. One, it works like a vice grip, so it holds on really tight and you don't have to keep that constant pressure, which can be a bit difficult when you're trying to find the 2 little teeth. It also just grips a lot stronger. And it's got 2 teeth right here for adjusting lock rings, but it also can take your cog on and off as well. These teeth can grab onto your cog, so you can take off your cog and your lock ring with one tool that works really well. Another thing that I like about it is it's got a nice, I don't want to say it's ergonomic, but a rounder profile. So it's just a little bit easier on the hands when you're really cranking on it. All around, it's not the cheapest tool. I found it for about 60 bucks. I think it's well worth the investment. I will link to it in the description. Anything you buy through those links helps support the channel. Thank you all for watching. Be on the lookout for Nowhere Fast, Somewhere Slow. I'm really excited about it, premiering April 4th, 2026. I have a few other videos coming out about the fixed gear drivetrain, so be on the lookout for those. And please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.